Master manipulators use hidden weapons against you every day. Unless you know these, you're already losing. You felt it before. That strange sense that something was off. Someone smiles at you, but behind their eyes, there's no warmth. They flatter you, agree with everything you say, and yet you leave the room feeling smaller, weaker, uncertain. You can't explain it, but you were just played. Let me tell you something brutal. The most dangerous people in the world don't carry knives. They carry truths, twisted just enough to make you doubt yourself. They don't steal your wallet. They steal your confidence, your clarity, your sense of self, and by the time you realize it, it's already too late. This video isn't for the faint of heart, it's for those who've had enough. Enough being the puppet. Enough second-guessing. Enough surrendering their power. Today, I will show you the 7 psychological weapons master manipulators use to control, confuse, and conquer. But more than that, I'll show you how to spot them, deflect them, and ultimately, wield them. Not to harm, but to defend. To dominate your own mind. And finally become the strategist in a world full of performers. Because if you don't learn this, you will stay predictable, programmable, and vulnerable. Let's begin. The first weapon is one you've already felt. Point 1. Validation with a hook. A manipulator will always give you what you crave first. They study you. They listen to you. They notice how your eyes light up when they compliment your intelligence, how your shoulders drop slightly when they agree with your ideas. And so they give it to you, again and again. Praise, respect, connection. But here's the part you miss. Every time they validate you, they insert a hook. You're so sharp. I wish more people were like you. Not like those other idiots in your team. Now they've isolated you, planted distrust. You feel seen, but you've just been recruited. You're such a kind person, way more understanding than your brother, right? Now they've created loyalty, comparison, dependency. This is emotional bait, and the sharper you are, the tastier the hook. Because manipulators don't target fools, they go for the ambitious, the intelligent. The ones with something to prove. They'll feed your ego until they own it. And then, like a fisherman reeling in the line, they tug. Control you through guilt. Silence you through fear of losing their approval. And suddenly, you're not thinking for yourself anymore. You're performing for their next compliment. And when it doesn't come, you chase it. You must wake up to this. Compliments are not always gifts. Sometimes they're weapons. And the sharpest minds are the easiest to pierce when they hunger for validation. Point 2. Fog of confusion. You know what's scarier than a lie? 1,000 half-truths. The master manipulator doesn't scream. They whisper. They never say, "You're wrong." They say, "That's not quite how I remember it." They flood your mind with uncertainty. They twist timelines. They repeat phrases until they become your thoughts. You're overthinking it. "I never said that." "Don't be so sensitive." Sound familiar? It's called gaslighting, but that word is too tame. This isn't just manipulation, it's psychological warfare. And the battlefield is your memory. They change one detail, then another, and before long you're doubting yourself. Not just your story, but your reality. And here's the genius of it. You can't fight what you can't define. You can't call out a lie if you're not sure what the truth was to begin with. So you fall silent. You retreat inward. You become dependent on their version of reality, because yours has been turned to smoke. This is how they win. Not by overpowering you, but by disorienting you until you surrender willingly. But once you see it, once the fog clears, everything changes. You realize the person who constantly makes you question yourself is doing it on purpose. They are not confused. They are confusing you. And in that moment of realization, the power starts to shift. You're starting to see it now, aren't you? That everything you thought was just bad, communication or drama, was actually calculated, tactical, intentional. And the deeper you go, the more terrifying and liberating this truth becomes. Because if people can shape your mind from the outside, then you must learn to armor your psyche from the inside. There are more weapons, deadlier ones that bend loyalty, crush resistance, and make strong people serve without even knowing they're serving. But if you've made it this far, you're not like the rest. You're ready to see how deep the game goes. Keep watching. You're about to step into the darker chambers of influence, where truth is twisted and the puppeteers hide behind smiles. You're still here. Good. That means you're not just curious. You're dangerous. Because once you understand the next layer of manipulation, you'll see the world differently. And you'll never go back. You'll see it in the boardroom. In your family. In your own relationships. And if you're not careful, you'll even catch yourself using it. Because these psychological weapons, they're not rare. They're everywhere. But only the masters know how to wield them with surgical precision. You're about to learn why. Some people always get what they want, even when they've done nothing to deserve it. And why others give everything they have and still feel empty. Let's go deeper. Point 3. The debt you never owed. Manipulators love to give. Not because they're generous, but because they're building a trap. They do you a favor. They offer help when you're weak. They show up when others don't, and you feel grateful. That's the first step. But soon, that kindness turns into a collar. They expect loyalty, compliance, silence. You didn't ask for this debt, but suddenly, you owe them everything. You wouldn't even be here if it weren't for me. After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me? Sound familiar? This is the weapon of obligation, one of the oldest tricks in the human playbook. It plays on your deepest programming. The need to be fair, to reciprocate, to stay loyal. But here's the brutal truth. Real kindness has no strings. Real support doesn't demand your silence, and anyone who demands loyalty through guilt isn't loyal to you. They're loyal to control. You have to learn to separate true support from strategic generosity. Not all help is pure, and not all debts are worth paying. Because once you accept that collar, they'll never let you take it off. Point 4. The disappearing mirror. Do you know what happens when someone erases your reflection? You start to forget who you are. This weapon is subtle and lethal. Master manipulators will slowly remove your voice, your preferences, your dreams. At first, it looks like compromise. You stop correcting them when they speak for you. You let them choose the restaurant, the movie, the career moves. You shrink to keep the peace. But peace isn't what they want. They want erasure. And here's where it gets dark. When you try to speak up again, they punish you. Not always with anger. Sometimes with silence. With disappointment. With subtle withdrawal of affection. You learn quickly that speaking up costs you love. So you stop. And one day you look in the mirror, and you don't recognize who you've become. You've turned into a version of yourself they designed. Predictable, manageable, silent. But inside your soul is screaming. This weapon is called identity erosion, and it's one of the most devastating tactics used by manipulators who want long-term control. Because if they erase your sense of self, they can replace it with whatever they need. But if you want to break free, you must remember the old you, the wild you. The one who had opinions, instincts, fire. That person is not dead, just buried. Dig. Point 5. Crisis as a cage. There's one more tool they love, and it's almost invisible. Chaos. The manipulator knows this. If your life is constantly unstable, you'll never stop to question who's pulling the strings. So they manufacture crisis. Small ones, big ones, emotional fires that they help you put out, and you begin to associate them with safety. Let that sink in. The same person who starts the fire hands you the bucket of water and convinces you they saved your life. You don't just forgive them. You become grateful. You start believing they're the only one who understands you, because they've been through it with you, when in truth, they created the very storm you're trying to survive. This is not love. It's not support. It's strategic chaos, weaponized. And here's the pattern. They exhaust you, then offer you rest. They confuse you, then offer clarity. They isolate you, then offer comfort. Until you're too tired to leave, too afraid to see the truth, too deep in the maze to find the exit. But the door was never locked. You just stopped looking. The most dangerous prison is the one you defend, and the longer you stay in it, the more you forget that freedom even exists. Now pause. Breathe. You're in deep now. You've seen 4, no, 5 of the most lethal weapons used by the ones who walk among us with charming smiles and calculated hearts. The ones who build empires, not by force, but by bending people's minds. You've seen how they praise to control, confuse to silence, help to enslave, erase to dominate, and create chaos, just to keep you near. But it's not over. There are still two more weapons. Two tools that transform even the strongest into silent servants. But beyond those two is the threshold, the place where everything changes. Because once you see every move of the manipulator, you stop being the puppet. You become the one who sees the strings. And once you reach that point, you're no longer just surviving. You're becoming a strategist, a master of your own psyche. And no one, no matter how clever, will ever dominate you again. You're close now. Stay with me. You're still standing good. Because this next part isn't for victims, it's for the ones who've been used, broken, discarded, and are now ready to reclaim their mind. You've seen the games. You've felt the sting of betrayal behind polite smiles. You've watched people twist your love into obedience. And for a long time, you blamed yourself. But no more, because now, the fog is lifting, and what comes next are the final weapons. The ones that don't just influence your actions, they restructure your entire reality. But when you understand them, everything shifts. From confusion to clarity. From reaction to precision. From prey to strategist. Let's begin. Point 6. The Puppet Master's mirror. There's a moment, subtle, barely noticeable, where you start seeing yourself through their eyes. It sounds harmless, but it's deadly. Manipulators are master storytellers, and their favorite story is about you. They create a version of you that fits their agenda. You're always overreacting. You're so difficult to deal with. You're lucky I even put up with you. At first, you defend yourself. But eventually, you begin to internalize it. You stop arguing. You stop expressing. You start wondering, am I really the problem? That is the exact moment the weapon lands. They've implanted a false identity inside your mind. And now, you are doing their job for them. You become your own prison guard, doubting yourself, censoring your voice, apologizing for existing. This weapon is called identity projection, and it's the final nail in the psychological coffin. Because now, you no longer trust your instincts. You trust theirs. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Their version of you is a lie, constructed to shrink you. Because a confused, uncertain person is easy to manage. And the moment you realize this, really realize it, the illusion cracks. You stop asking, am I too much? And start asking, who benefits from me believing that? You rip the false identity out of your mind like a parasite. And when you do, you finally meet your real self again. Not the version they tolerated. The version they feared. Point 7. Isolation through control. This final weapon is the most dangerous of them all. Because it's not about words. It's about invisible architecture. The manipulator doesn't just want to control you. They want to disconnect you from your friends, from your family, from anyone who might pull you out of their WAB.it. Starts small. They don't really understand you. They're jealous of what we have. They're just trying to turn you against me. And one by one, your lifelines vanish. Not because you pushed them away, but because you were slowly taught to mistrust them. And then, when the manipulator isolates you, fully, completely, they become your only source of comfort and control. That's the goal. Become the sun in your sky. So if they withdraw, your whole world goes dark. But here's the secret. The sky was never dark. They were just standing in front of the light. When you step back, when you reconnect with others, when you share what happened, you see what they worked so hard to hide. You were never the problem. You were just too valuable, too radiant, too powerful. So they built a cage made of shame, fear, and guilt. But no more. This is your return. Your instincts. Your fire. The people who remind you who you are. This is where you stop explaining your worth to manipulators and start reclaiming your life from them. Let that sink in. You've just seen the full playbook. Not the watered-down version. The real game. The tactics that destroy minds and empires alike. But now, You know them, you've named the weapons, you've seen the strings, and more importantly, you've stopped dancing to someone else's tune. You've crossed the line from manipulated to aware, from victim to observer, from silent to strategic. You're not confused anymore, you're calculating. You don't just notice the manipulation, you dissect it, and when someone tries to use it on you again, you smile, not with fear, with recognition, because you see the play, and the moment you see the play, you're no longer the pawn. You're becoming the player. Now you feel it, don't you? The fire, the clarity, the control returning to your hands. And in part 4, you'll take it even further, because it's not enough to escape manipulation. You must rise above it. Harness it. Use your awareness to walk through the world with unmatched presence, power, and precision. And that is where true dominance begins. It's quiet now, but not because the storm has ended, because you've stepped above it, that you've seen the architecture of control, that you've walked through the fire of confusion, self-doubt, and betrayal. And here you are, not broken but sharpened, that old version of you. The one that second-guessed every instinct, that flinched under manipulation, that apologized for existing, is gone. What stands in its place is something far more dangerous, a mind that sees, a soul that remembers, a will that no longer bends. You are not who you were. Now you know what they know, and knowledge like this changes everything. Let me paint the new picture for you, that you're in a conversation. Someone flatters you, subtly steering your emotions. Before, you drink it in, not noticing the leash forming around your neck. But now, you hear the tone shift. You feel the timing. You sense the angle. You see the script before they finish the sentence. Someone guilt trips you, plays the "after everything I've done" card. Before, you'd feel a flush of shame, that you'd fold, compromise, obey. But now, you smile, because you know guilt is a hook, and you're not biting. You watch chaos swirl around you, dramatic text messages, emotional outbursts, sudden crises designed to pull you in. Before, you'd rush in like a savior, exhaust yourself trying to fix someone else's fire. But now, you step back, you observe, you let the flames burn out on their own, because you know some fires are bait, and you are not theirs to command. This is transformation, the kind no school teaches, the kind no guru sells. This is earned through pain, through clarity, through fire. And now you own it. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about what mastery really means. It doesn't mean becoming a manipulator. It means becoming immune to them. It means seeing emotional bait without taking it. It means setting boundaries without needing permission. It means holding your frame, even when the room trembles around you. And when someone tries to pull you into their maze, you don't run or fight or freeze. You just don't enter. You don't flinch when they raise their voice. You don't crumble when they go silent. You don't negotiate with guilt, shame, or false loyalty. You've exited their game. You're playing your own now. And here's the deepest truth. Most people will never get here. They'll live their entire lives reacting, apologizing, explaining themselves to people who don't care about truth, only control, but not you. Because now, you understand the weapons. You've seen how charm becomes a chain, how chaos becomes a cage, how guilt becomes a leash, and that awareness is your armor. No one can take your mind from you now. No one can distort your reality without you seeing the trick. And that is power. But this isn't just about defense. This is about creation, because once you stop giving your energy to manipulators, you have it back. All of it, your focus, your fire, your instinct. You can now build the life you want, one rooted in truth, not illusion. One surrounded by people who don't want to mold you, but to witness you. People who sharpen you, not shrink you. Your vision gets clearer. Your presence gets stronger. Your energy becomes magnetic. Because nothing is more attractive, more rare, than someone who is truly, deeply free from psychological control. You walk into a room, and people feel it. They can't manipulate you. They can't pull you into petty drama. They can't shake your frame. You've become unshakable, unbreakable, untouchable. And now, the choice is yours. You fade back into the noise, pretending not to know what you now know, Or do you walk forward, eyes open, mind sharp, owning this power with grace and precision? The world doesn't need more followers. It needs more strategists, more awake minds, more people like you. So if this message lit something inside you, let it grow. Leave a comment, tell your story, drop a like, not for me, but for you, for reclaiming your power. Subscribe because we're not done. There's more truth to uncover, more games to dismantle, more strength to build. Because this isn't just content. This is war. A war for your attention, your energy, your soul. But you are no longer the prey. You are the strategist now. And the world has no idea what's coming. Keep your mind sharp. Keep your heart untamed. And never, ever let anyone rewrite your story again.